New hearing aids are about to get a lot more expensive. Hey guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, and in this video, I'm talking about a new tariff proposal that could significantly increase the prices of every major hearing aid brand in the United States. If you've been watching my channel since the early 2020s, then you've already heard me talk about hearing aid price increases due to the COVID-19 pandemic that resulted from supply chain shortages as well as massive increases in inflation. From 2021 to around 2024, the cost of a hearing aid actually increased by over 20%. And even though these supply chain issues have been largely resolved and inflation is back down to a reasonable level, hearing aid prices have not come down. In fact, these hearing aid prices are likely going to start increasing even higher in 2025 if the new tariff proposals by the Trump administration go into effect. And I'm not talking about a little bit, I'm talking about a lot. Now, I don't usually get involved in politics on this channel unless it is directly related to hearing loss. In the past, I've commented on the Build Back Better Act that would have included hearing aids inside of traditional Medicare. And I may have speculated as to whether or not President Joe Biden had a hearing loss due to his age, his higher rates of falling, as well as concerns over his cognition. But now, in a recent New York Times article, there is speculation that hearing aid prices will increase significantly due to tariffs on Denmark. Okay, so let me bring you up to speed on the situation. So essentially, President Donald Trump has threatened Denmark with tariffs if Denmark is not willing to sell or give Greenland to the United States for national security purposes. Whether this is actually going to happen or not, I have no idea, but you have to consider the fact that 3 out of the 6 major hearing aid manufacturers in the world are headquartered in Denmark. These companies include Widex, Resound, and Oticon, which are all major hearing aid brands that you're probably familiar with, considering that they are extremely popular brands here in the United States. If these tariffs are imposed at some point in 2025, that means that all hearing aids that are imported from Denmark into the United States would be significantly more expensive, especially if these additional tariffs on Denmark are between 25 and 30%. And if it costs these hearing aid manufacturers an additional 30% just to import these hearing aids into the United States, then it is going to cost the end user of a hearing aids even more than 30%. But just avoiding these 3 different hearing aid manufacturers based in Denmark isn't going to do you a whole lot of good. That's because these are not the only tariffs that are being proposed that would have a significant impact on the hearing aid industry. President Trump has made it abundantly clear that he wants to reduce this massive trade deficit that exists between the United States and the rest of the world. By the end of 2024, the United States ended up importing nearly $750 billion more in goods than what we exported. And who happens to be the country that manufactures most of the world's hearing aid components? You guessed it. China. If China is actually hit with a proposed 40% tariff on goods entering the United States, just imagine what that would do to hearing aid prices. And if you think the recent decision for some hearing aid manufacturers to move their hearing aid production to Mexico would actually keep these prices lower, think again. Because Mexico is also expected to get hit with a 25% tariff on imported goods into the United States unless Mexico slows down immigration and the flow of fentanyl into the United States. If these tariffs are actually implemented by the incoming administration instead of them just being a threat for negotiating better trade deals, then we are going to see skyrocketing hearing aid prices as early as 2025. And if you think the 20% hearing aid price increase was a lot from the early 2020s, then buckle up, because I would not be surprised if hearing aid prices go up by an additional 50% at some point in 2025 or 2026. So what can you do about this? Well, the first thing you could do is just cross your fingers and hope that these other foreign countries just bend to the wills of Donald Trump so he doesn't have to impose these additional tariffs. After all, if tariffs have to be imposed, there is no winners on either side. If these tariffs can be avoided, then I would not expect hearing aid prices to go up significantly. They'll probably be much more in line with whatever inflation is. The other thing you can do is get new hearing aids sooner rather than later before these tariffs go into effect. And Trump has indicated that he would like to impose these tariffs on the very first day that he takes office, which is January January 20th, 2025. However, I would suspect that once these tariffs go into effect, it will take several months for these hearing aid prices to start going up. Now, if you cannot afford new hearing aids right now, totally understand, because this is likely completely unexpected for you, but you do have the option to do either low interest or no interest financing. Most hearing aid clinics offer medical financing through companies like Care Credit, so you can actually get hearing aids now and pay for them over the course of several months to several years. This is something that a lot of hearing aid users wish they would have done back in 2020 before prices started going up. Even if you do have to spend a little bit more money in interest, it will be well worth it compared to paying an additional 50% or more on a new pair of hearing aids. Personally, I think we might all be overreacting about these new proposed tariffs. After all, I think that President Trump is probably using them as a negotiating tactic, although if anyone would actually follow through with these tariffs, it would probably be Donald Trump. But let me know what you think down in the comment section. Do you think these tariffs will actually go into effect? Do you think they're just a negotiating tactic? And if they do go into effect, what do you think they'll actually do to hearing aid prices? And of course, while you're at it, do me a huge favor, click the like button. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. And I'll see you in the next video.